Hey everyone, what's that giant sucking sound you're hearing? Well, it's all the dollars flowing into AI. You're watching Techstrong, gang. Hey everyone, happy Thursday. It's Alan Schimmel here in our Boca Raton Techstrong headquarters, and you're watching another episode of Techstrong Gang. As usual, we've got a great group of people here in the gang and some interesting topics to dive into. Let me start off by introducing our gang members today. I think making his first appearance in the new year. He took a regal couple weeks off, as any royalty member would. It's our, resident czar of Silicon Valley, John Swartz. Hey, John, how are you, man? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. We spent a few days in Scottsdale, Arizona for some R&R, but I'm happy to be back. I couldn't help myself during the time I was off. I'll admit, I wrote a couple things. Just
Did
can't
you?
help it. Yeah.
Scottsdale was nice.
It was nice. It was in the 70s. I haven't been to Arizona a few years, but it was good. It's all good and ready to go.
Excellent. Excellent. Joining us, I assume, well, you know what, Anne, I got to give you kudos, man. Your backgrounds are always tuned into the upcoming holiday. So is this still a bit of a Happy New Year thing behind you there? Or?
Yes. Only because it feels seasonally inappropriate to go to Valentine's right from Christmas.
Yeah, it might be a little early for Valentine's.
Yeah, so I just wanted, it's kind of a gloomy time right now of year, so I thought a little sparkle.
Look, it's a great time to buy Christmas and New Year decorations. They're basically 50% off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I stocked up on my Hanukkah decorations right after the first of the year. Of course, we'll put them away for next year, but hey, 50%, a deal's a deal. Anyway, that's pretty funny. And we're going to work like heck to get your name right this year.
Thank you. Anne Ahola Ward.
Anne,
yes.
No, I know Anne. Anne Ahola Ward.
You got it.
Okay. Thanks, Anne. Thanks for joining us. Anne, people, we have you on here once a week. People may not know a lot about what you do when you're not, sporting your gang colors. Why don't you tell us a little bit?
Well, I go into companies and I help them grow through data and analytics. Basically, I am a growth expert. This here is the book I wrote in 2017, O'Reilly book, the SEO Battlefield. And I love going and helping companies grow, whether it's organic, paid search is my game. And I love it. I have an agency with a team of 6 that I've been running since 2009 on my own.
Wow, that's great. What's the name of the agency?
CircleClick.
Very cool. Mike, you should take note of that. Okay. Jumping from Anne to one of our regular, I think Mike, I don't know if Mike's frozen or what. Jumping from Anne to one of our regular gang members, joining us from frigid Colorado. It's our own Mitch Ashley. Hey, Mitch, how are you, man?
It's in the single digits this morning, so yes, it's a little cold. A little cold in here in Colorado, but we have our sprints in January where we get some cold weather. It'll warm up.
I tell you, it makes me feel better. I'm all bundled up here in my sweater. It's 50 degrees. What am I? I'm soft. I've gone soft.
Florida soft.
Florida soft. Anyway, Mitch, thanks for being on. And then joining us today from Harrison, New York, with a state-of-the-art DSL connection on his internet, it's our one and only Chief Content Officer, Mike Vizard. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing well. I think my internet connection may be frozen, though. That seems to be what the issue is. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, let's hope it unfreezes or thaws out, as they say, and we'll go from there. So, as I mentioned, for today's show, Thursday's show, we're going to start off with that giant sucking sound you may be hearing. It's actually AI soaking up investment dollars at an unprecedented pace. Mike, I don't know if you want to kick it off or we're going over to John on that, but why don't Mike, let's see how it works with your connection.
Yeah, let's just go right to John on that in the interest
Okay.
of internet connections and see how it goes.
Okay. John,
Okay,
what
that
you
sounds
got?
good. Well, it's free flowing money. It is. This is a gold rush. This is a land grab. I mean, to me, in a sense, there are a number of things that are happening, and we'll go first with the news, and then more for a broader context. But basically, what's happening is Anthropic just said they need to raise more funding to get to a $60 billion valuation. OpenAI, which is moving to a for-profit model, needs more capital than we'd imagine. Now, within context, think about this. Anthropic alone has raised $8 billion from Amazon. OpenAI has raised at least $13 billion from Microsoft. They are pouring money into operations because, in a sense, there is so much at stake. In a sense, they're not the only ones. There's this gold rush, as I said, a land grab. Money's pouring into these. I keep hearing the phrase $1 trillion industries being bandied about. Buildings are sprouting, even out here. I was at a cybersecurity event a couple days ago, and a guy there was saying to me, "Who are all these new buildings that are cropping up along Highway 101? A lot of them are startups. A lot of them are expansion of companies. Money's being just injected by the billions into these companies like OpenAI, which want to go public. Nvidia just hit a record stock price. Uh, it's basically, to put it really bluntly, if we took a shot at tequila every time someone said trillion and AI in the same sentence, we'd all be extremely happy. It's crazy. I mean, American VCs are gearing up to pour $87.4 billion into AI next year. China is at about $40.6 billion. This is crazy, and I've never seen anything like this, or I haven't seen anything like this in at least 25 years, because this is considered the go-to year for agentic AI and beyond that, physical AI. So, and again, as you put it so well, Alan, this is a money-sucking sound, but I think it's necessary, or these companies think it's necessary for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
I totally agree with you, John, and I think it's interesting. Anthropic seems to be a favorite among my data scientist, decision scientist friends. Anthropic is sort of viewed as the underdog, but looking at those numbers, they obviously are not much of an underdog. The company that I've been watching in the space is Perplexity. Obviously, as an SEO, I'm interested in them because they're a search engine, but I mean, just a year ago, they were valued at $1 billion. And now that investment from SoftBank in the middle of the year last year took them to $3 billion. And then all of a sudden this year, January, they come out strong in a $9 billion valuation in a $500 million round, which sounds like chump change compared to Anthropic. But I mean, think about that. In about 12 months, 13 months, you go from 1 to 9 billion. It almost seems like play money.
It's staggering. One thing I should have mentioned as well is that I think there is this incredible rush, and there's no coincidence that it has something to do with a change in the political climate. Also, the economy is doing fairly well. So these companies see this opportunity to not only go public, because we've had a down IPO markets, but they see the opportunity of merger and acquisition activity with the new administration, which might allow more of that. At least that's that's the indication we're getting. And I mentioned, we mentioned Anthropic at 60 billion. OpenAI is about 160 billion. And I mean, it's go time. And if you listened, and you guys talked about the CES NVIDIA keynote speech by Jensen, but he mentioned every industry that they were getting into with AI and the amount of money that was at stake. And he talked about manufacturing with Kion and Accenture. He talked about autonomous AVs with Toyota. He mentioned Perplexity, and it's just, to me, it's staggering. And when you see every big tech company just chasing this as aggressively as I've ever seen them, it's a game changer. And I rarely say that.
It's reminiscent of the land rushes that we saw in kind of previous generations of whether it's the dot-com of the 90s or the cloud. And it's interesting. I was talking with one of our analysts who heads up the CIO Insights practice at Futurum, and he mentioned to me, which I'd kind of forgotten about, in focusing on the Fortune 500 companies. For large companies, they are definitely investing in AI, but because generative AI came on so quickly, they don't quickly change their budget cycles and suddenly reallocate a whole bunch of money to AI quickly. It takes a couple of years, and in the meantime, they sort of rob Peter to pay Paul to get some AI projects done while they cut back and kind of play the budget games. Meanwhile, they're putting more and more budget against AI. But if you look at the numbers, it's really small compared to like security and data and some of the networking, things like that. But it'll catch up. So I feel like we are at the bottom of that hockey stick. I always worry, are we over rotating on building so much infrastructure? But I think about, the large enterprise and what they could potentially spend on AI in the next 2 to 3 years really can step up to what the market's building. So the timing may be right for that, but it's interesting just the pace of how it's happened sort of outstripped at least large enterprise ability to really fund the projects they want to fund.
The really weird thing was when Jensen was talking about AI at CES, he kind of lumped it all together. In a sense, he talked about generative AI, but then he made a segue into agentic AI, which he's talked a lot about, the digital workforce that we keep hearing about. Then he pushed it even farther and said, now we're about to start robots. Yeah, physical AI. And they brought the robots on stage. He mentioned all the possibilities. It was kind of staggering. It's a little overwhelming to me because I think we're like looking at three different movements or waves at the same time. But I guess that's the way these companies are interpreting it. Usually they kind of transition from one thing to another. I remember Microsoft was behind on the internet. They rushed into it. It seems like everybody's in this go-to now movement, and if they don't, they feel they're going to be left behind.
Well, I'm curious, John, your thoughts on Apple, because
If you
Apple
can
keeps
hear
on-
me, the one thing
We can hear you, Mike.
well, Apple keeps saying, "Hey, we're in AI too." Hey, but do you really think, John, that they're the player that they normally are in the space?
No, that is a tremendous point. I was thinking the same thing when I was watching Jensen. The one thing that I kept having these eerie comparisons to was watching Jensen and how he has, in a sense, assumed the Steve Jobs role. He has this elaborate presentation, flawlessly executed. It's like a Broadway show, right? They're bringing the props on. He's mentioning everything they're moving into. He does it extremely well. Very slick video presentations with him as the narrator. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, okay, we have Google's involved, Microsoft, Amazon, they've all hedging their bets. Apple's playing catch up in a sense, but they're kind of the forgotten. That's so right, though. They're the forgotten name.
It's just
Meanwhile, this guy's wearing his
wonder-
black jacket.
It's you got to know the Apple way, though. This is typical of Apple.
Yeah, that's true.
They're
So
not
let
first.
me, I got some thoughts on here. I wanted Joel to join in before I jumped in. Normally I would tell you that all this money's rushing in because if you're not in the top three, get the hell out, right? Lesson we learned from Brad Feld, Mitch and I. And normally that is true. If you're not in the top three, get the hell out. But I think we're looking at this wrong. We're lumping this all under those two letters, AI, as if all AI is the same, that agentic is just the next phase of generative and physical is the phase that's going to come after. No, there's AI is not a monolith of just AI. There's different aspects of AI, there's different markets, there's different products, there's going to be different winners and losers in each one. You mentioned Perplexity, specializing AI search. AI search in and of itself, look, they're going to duke it out with Google because Google's not seeding that. Let's be clear, right?
AI overviews are weak at best, and they're only rolled out to 20% of users.
Yeah, but there will be three winners in AI-powered search. There will be three winners in CRM empowered AI. There will, you know what I mean? AI itself is going to spawn so many separate markets and separate product things that there's room for a lot of winners. However, I do believe that at the end of the day, when we talk about large language models and cutting edge cutting edge AI breakthroughs, it's going to be a big boys game. And that's why these guys are bulking up. But the same way, you have hyperscalers today. It's very hard for startups to compete with Google and Microsoft and Apple and Meta. I used to say Twitter before Elon cut it to
I'm going to call it
ribbons.
Twitter till the end of time. I refuse to
No,
say
I'm
it.
not. Well, but it's not. It doesn't have the infrastructure that Twitter had. It does. I
That's
don't
fair.
consider Twitter a hyperscaler anymore, right? Because they're running on bubble gum and spit. But in order to really play in the AI game at that level, you're going to need those kinds of resources. Now, Anthropic, we've been talking a lot about Anthropic this week. They're making a lot of noise. I think they are, emerging as a 2, 3 at worst to OpenAI and Google. But where would they be without Amazon's money? Right? That's their ace card, right? That, hey, we're the guys Amazon's betting on. You should bet on us too, because they're not stupid over there. So I do think you're going to see at that level, it's a big man's game. It's a hyperscalers game, and we'll have the hyperscalers. But that's not to say that there aren't huge niches within the AI landscape where there will be winners and losers and fortunes made. Like
Yeah, I think
water.
the fear among a lot of companies out here, at least in Silicon Valley, is that if you're not closely aligned or at least thought of as a company with some sort of AI present, you're irrelevant.
Well, but
And
that's so
that's just the
typical.
mindset.
That's
Yeah, that's the
typical
FOMO part
Silicon
of it, right?
Valley. What I'm
Oh,
the
yeah, but
Uber
habits
of
are
computers. I'm the Uber of
exactly.
guitar makers. I'm the cloud version of this. What's my cloud story? What's my security story? What's my, that's how Silicon Valley rolls.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, though. I mean, habits are hard to break. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a very
that's
insecure
typical.
culture. So
Let me
that's why you're seeing this kind of paranoia mounting as well. So
To your point, Alan, though, I think all of those are applications or uses of products built with AI, right? It's a technology. If I look at the macro view, I think, we like to say NVIDIA is what? They're a GPU company, they're a consumer gaming company, they're
NVIDIA
a
wants to
what
own the
company?
stack.
NVIDIA wants to be the Google of AI. That's
They want to
Yes.
own the whole stack.
pilot at the at the desktop. They building foundational
No
models.
doubt.
They want to, and they also are pulling kind of the Google game of really the Microsoft game. We want you to build on CUDA. We want you to build on our Drive
The platform.
API platforms, right? That's what they're trying to do. Is they're kind of playing the Apple game, if you will.
yes, they are.
Let's build this whole ecosystem.
But let's
to
talk
control.
about Apple a sec, Mitch. Back in the .com days, I did a big deal with the company I helped start. We did a big deal with Dell Host. And we were Dell Host. We were an OEM for Dell Host. At the time, Dell had just gotten into the server market about a year or two before. Dell didn't do servers. They only did laptops and desktops. Then they got into servers in a big way. Why did and a lot of people said, oh, they're so late to this game. They're so late. They'll never be a player in servers. Too late. But Dell's philosophy was they didn't get into a market till it was mature enough to be worthwhile jumping in with 2 feet. And when they did, they immediately sought to dominate that market. And they did in the case of servers. Dell became, probably one of the top 3 server companies. Apple's the same way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There may be a lot of money going into AI right now, but Apple's got a few shekels in the bank that they're sitting on. And they haven't deployed.
And also, yeah, I'm sorry, Alan. The other thing too is a lot of consumers, a lot of people who don't really know what AI is or wary about it, they're waiting to see what Apple does, like they did with the smartphone market and other
Apple's
markets.
saying, how big is this market today? Because I'm going to make a big bet because I'm Apple. I'm going to come in here with both feet and try to dominate something. But is this market mature enough for
Right.
me to put that kind of resources into it? Because as soon as it is, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead.
You get
Apple
lost
will
in
be
the
a
mix.
player.
today they get lost in the mix between all the announcements by Microsoft, everybody, NVIDIA, Amazon, et cetera. So I mean,
Apple looks at
that's not the time for Apple.
how much money is AI generating, not how much investment
Right,
it's generating. And that's
mean,
the
That's
what
metric
Apple's
that
all about.
matters.
Yeah, there's
that's what
something to
Apple's
be
all
said
about.
for letting the trailblazers spend the money. Apple's the only corporation I've ever worked for, and let me tell you, they know how to save a dollar. They really they're thrifty on a level you would not even imagine. Uh, and I think that they're, I think about all their successes, and then I think about the Newton message pad and the Apple Vision
Mhm.
Pro sitting in my
But
closet.
they learned
Yes,
lessons. They
exact-
learned
that's-
lessons on
yes.
that.
The hard way.
Apple's sort of like the old bull, and a lot of these other companies are the young bull, if you know that story. And don't count them out on this. Don't count them out.
Just because you don't see it doesn't mean they don't have teams on it,
Right.
right? They're very secretive until they know that they're gonna come out and
Yeah.
they're gonna dominate.
Yeah. So that's my word on that. I think we made the point here. John, you have an article, a couple of articles on this up on Techstrong AI, right? We could send
I
people.
do. Yes. Yes. So, every time I turn around, there seems to be a study out showing the amount of money being thrown at this. And you're right, Alan. Until we start seeing the revenue, we're going to inevitably go through a couple of years of this
early.
market growing, and
Yeah, no,
we're early. Exactly.
But
First inning.
if you
Right.
want to be a first mover, especially if you're a startup and you're aligning yourself with a hyperscaler, this is the time. If you don't have Apple type of resources, hyperscaler resources, now is the time where you got to grab, you got to set your homestead out, right? You got to claim your homestead and, and grab your picks and shovels, and there's gold in them Dar Hills, right? I want to be the guy selling picks and shovels, but I don't.
Exactly. That's where the money. Yes, exactly. That's the sweet spot really for a lot of the startups and a lot of the smaller companies here to sell the picks and shovels. Exactly.
Yep. Mike,
It's California, right? The gold rush.
Yeah, no, the 49ers. Mike, I feel like we're missing you on this one. I'm sorry your internet is troublesome.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I would say phooey. And there's just a lot of money being poured into this space in a way that, as the old saying goes, a fool and their money are soon parted. And I think you should keep an eye on what's going on with these various knowledge graphs out there, because I think that you'll be able to use those for about half the things that we're using LLMs for. And I think small LLMs are going to be the things that drive agentic AI. So I'm not going to need these massive foundational LLMs other than to build small LLMs. And I kind of look at all this right now and I scratch my head and I go, where's the revenue model for all this stuff going to be? Because I can see a future where these things are not going to be nearly as important as we think.
All right. You heard it there from where was Rip Van Winkle? Where did he go to sleep? Sleepy Hollow. Not far from Harrison, New York. All right. Hey, let's take a break here on Techstrong Gang. We're going to come back and talk about a recent announcement, one of several announcements that we'll say are controversial with a capital C. This one's around a $20 billion data center investment pledge. You're watching Techstrong Gang.
Modernize your business to fuel innovation and elevate customer experiences. With the Builder Community Hub, AWS and its partner network provide essential tools for transforming applications and infrastructure to fully leverage the cloud. Discover free trials, in-depth demos, and essential resources to empower DevOps engineers and developers to deliver value faster and more reliably. Visit the Builder Community Hub to learn more.
All right, folks, we're back and we're talking about, well, Donald Trump says that there's going to be $20 billion investments from his friends in the Middle East into data centers that are going to be in the U.S. This seems to be part of his quid pro quo program, where he says that he will help companies navigate these regulations if they tune up to invest in the country with his assistance, as it were. And I guess his family's involved in this whole thing. But Alan, what's your take on this? Do we need more data centers? Is there $20 billion worth of investment to be had here? And are other folks going to get mad?
Well, maybe we should build them in Greenland, our new estate, or maybe in the Gulf of America, offshore. Oh, better yet, let's keep them in the U.S. Canal that runs through Panama. Come on.
Wow.
Canada's got good cooling. I think we could go
Yeah,
up there.
maybe that's right. We'll
North
do
America.
liquid cooling in Canada,
that.
our
State of
newest
Canada.
territory. Come on. First of all, $20 billion is a drop in the bucket. Look at how
Yeah.
much money Google, Microsoft, Apple, all the usual suspects are spending on data centers. This got publicity. So just what I need, some Middle Eastern sheiks from Abu Dhabi owning data centers here in the US. What happened to made in America, built in America, owned in America? Is that what are we for sale? Are we for sale? We have a CHIPS Act. We have so many resources that we put in to trying to build out foundries and data centers and everything like that, that we haven't even begun to spend that money. Let's focus on that before we put up the for sale sign to the sheiks to come in here and spend a pittance of money on some data centers somewhere to massage this guy's ego.
I say
I'll
pledge
throw it out
smedge.
to you.
I say pledge smedge. We've heard this. We've seen this movie before,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Until we're breaking ground on a data center and building stuff. Yeah, pledging is.
I mean,
Where's
seriously,
those chip
in
manufacturers?
today's world, $20 billion doesn't buy as many data centers as it used to.
Anthropic's raising
Yeah,
$2
let's-
billion
yeah, I mean-
alone. I mean, just one company. So that was my first reaction. 20 billion? Is that all? I
Drop
mean,
in the bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like two.
Well,
that's
yeah,
like, I
like-
think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, John.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Just quickly, yeah. For context, Blackstone estimates that the U.S. is going to see investments of $1 trillion in data centers over 5 years, with another trillion
Exactly.
committed to other types of facilities internationally. So, in other words, DAMOC, what properties commitment accounts for just like 2% of the total expected domestic investment in the sector. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ann.
No. I just always think when I see these announcements, I always think, okay, great. How are you powering it? That's like where my head always goes is who's paying the bill, right? Who's going to be powering this? And I think we're going to start to see, Amazon, companies like that, they're going to have, and they already do, their own nuclear plants.
We reported on this, right? Microsoft made a deal with the old 3 Mile Island, and they're going to build a huge data center right out there. Another big utility in the Midwest basically signed, I forget if it was Google or Amazon or whoever it was, a deal where they're going to basically build plants just to power data centers there. And they're putting damn near $1 billion into that alone. So, this makes it interesting fodder for press. I didn't realize we wrote about it on Techstrong ITSM. It's not news to me. It's publicity.
It's a publicity stunt. And also within context, I looked into this organization that works with the Trump family, and for every project that they completed, there were several others that never went anywhere. There's always talk about it going back to 2016. This isn't the first time he's mentioned working with them as a member, as the president.
Well, we should be clear. It's one company. It's basically one family.
One company
from UAE.
in the United Arab Emirates, right?
Right,
It's
Suleiman,
it's a
someone
family
or
owned.
other. Right. It's
Yeah,
a family-owned
private
business.
private development. Yeah, it's also you mentioned nuclear, Anna. You're right. I mean, Amazon, Microsoft, Google. I think they're pouring billions of dollars into these nuclear energy facilities, and they're looking into building small modular reactors.
Cold
It's
fusion,
just-
baby. Cold fusion.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, this whole thing was like the SoftBank pledge as well, which is a couple of weeks earlier. We've all seen this before, as Mitch said, and when the rubber hits the road, when something really actually happens, that's when I pay attention. And for now, it's just it's a nice press release from the incoming administration.
You know what you got to give him credit for, though? This is a nothing burger, right? But everybody and their mom is reporting on it, talking about it, and it's a nothing burger. There's bigger things for us to talk about. So I'm giving this its 15 minutes. It's over. We're going on a break here at Techstrong Gang. We're going to come back and talk about an M&A deal between Getty and Shutterstock. Images. You're watching Techstrong Gang. Hey everyone, it's Sunny.
And share.
Ladies and gentlemen, tech enthusiasts and future gazers, gather round. The biggest, boldest, most mind-blowing predictions for 2025 are coming your way at the Predict 2025 virtual event on January 9th.
Oh, Sonny, you're predicting something again. Last time you tried this, you said Laserdisc were the future. How'd that work out for you?
Hey, Cher. Not every prediction's a hit, but that's why we've got the real experts this time. Top analysts, visionaries, and tech leaders sharing what's going to rock our world in 2025.
So no Sonny predictions this time? No flying toasters making a comeback?
Very funny, Cher. But seriously, we're talking AI breakthroughs, cybersecurity game changers, the future of DevOps, cloud innovations, and so much more.
And what about my favorite prediction, a smart mirror that tells you how fabulous you look every morning? That's real innovation.
You're already ahead of the tech, Cher. But if you want to hear the really big stories in tech for 2025, you've got to tune in on January 9th. The event kicks off at 8:45 a.m. Eastern and runs until 2:30 p.m.
And the best part, it's all virtual. No stuffy conference rooms, no long commutes. Just grab your coffee, your laptop, and join us from anywhere in the world.
You know what else? It's not just predictions. It's insights, strategies, and a whole lot of fun.
Well, Sonny, if this event is as good as you say, maybe they'll finally name a technology after you, like the Sonny 2.0, predicting your jokes before you tell them.
That's a good one, Cher. But the real joke is if you're missing out on this. So don't miss Predict 2025.
That's right. Mark your calendars, January 9th, 8:45 a.m. Eastern. Be there or you'll miss the biggest scoop on the future of tech.
See you at Predict
2025.
Be there. Hey everyone, we're back here. Big news in a usual very actually quiet neighborhood in the internet, and that's the image royalties and image licensing business. And what you want to tell us about this Getty Shutterstock deal?
Absolutely. Getty is going to be acquiring Shutterstock in a $3.7 billion acquisition. And I think that, when I think Getty, a lot of people in my industry, internet marketers, I think of Getty, I think of the image scam. I think of the letters you get if they find something on your website and they'll threaten you with legal. But they've grown out of these sort of games and they're recognizing where the industry is. Essentially, they've got to unify to fight AI images. People can now generate images on the fly, on demand. They recognize, obviously, that they're a dying breed, or they could be. And so I think that this signals, the combined company will have nearly $2 billion in revenue. I think they see it as a greater chance of survival, obviously, and will save them costs on overhead and other things by merging. I don't know that this is going to go through, though. I think there's going to be some antitrust scrutiny because this is making them an even bigger player. Already both are dominating, but I think this signals a sort of insecurity and it's a sign of the times to some degree. And I think we're going to see more of these, especially as AI's run out of easy data, right? So we're going to start to see these mergers just for the data, and I think that this is one of a sign to come.
So I don't think you're going to see any antitrust scrutiny from the incoming administration. They don't care. This is the Wild West. But that being said, I think someone earlier said a fool and his money are quickly separated. To me, this is Winchester stagecoaches buying a bunch of horseless carriages, buying a bunch of carriages for buggy and whip horses right around 1910, while a guy named Henry Ford is figuring out how to mass produce. Um, I I I wouldn't give 2 dimes for an image library in the age of AI generated images. I mean, I will tell you here at Techstrong, right before doing this show, we were looking for a nice background to use because I'm going to be live next Tuesday for our Predict 2025 conference. I'll be doing the live kickoff at 8:45 a.m. And I wanted to have a nice background image. And normally in years past, I would go to Shutterstock or Getty or one of those and look for a high res image for that. I went into one of my favorite AIs and said, "This is the image I'm looking for. I want something immersive. I want it in 4K." I uploaded an image of the hero image from the website and said, "Make me a stage that looks like this." One or two
Yeah, I mean,
tweaks, done.
no, you're right, Alan. I mean, Anne beautifully laid this out, and I just think it's just almost an exercise in futility, honestly, with this onrushing competition from images generated by AI. It's just, it kind of almost reminds me of the old media, just trying to compete with the internet. It's just,
Exactly. That's
it's inevitable.
exactly what it is. And so let's get big. Let's get bigger.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
inevitably packaging themselves up with a bow for OpenAI or Google, who will be buying them for parts later.
Right, for input, yeah. But would I give you $3.7 billion for it? Yeah.
Well,
Something
no,
tells me someone's going to take a hit on that one.
absolutely. And
Yes.
we're going to see more of these acquisitions, though, because the training data needs to be, of a certain quality. The internet is generating so much data every day, but it's kind of garbage data for purposes of training, right? So I think we're going to see more and more of these acquisitions coming that are purely for the data, because these models are hungry. They're hungry for more. They're consuming, all this money is going to go to something. And I think a lot of it is going to, once we get the GPU power, everything we need to actually crunch the data, then they're going to be hungry for more actual data. And so companies like this are going to see themselves on the chopping block, is the reality.
We need more data centers. Just kidding.
Right. I think data, sure, right?
That's the solution for everything. Just build them. Yeah, build them,
Yeah.
especially as you said, in our new territories. Yeah.
But let me ask a question though, seriously, guys. I remember, didn't Getty, you're right, Ann. Getty was sort of the stuffed shirt of the image licensing crowd for a long time, right? But they also were good quality, to be fair. I always thought Getty had the best quality.
Yep.
But I thought Getty set free a good part of their library a few years ago, where you could use it as long as you attributed it or something. You didn't have to pay for a lot of the images. Am I wrong about that, or am I hallucinating?
I think that you're right. I mean, would that be like a copylefting?
No.
Like a Richard Stallman style?
Yeah. No, but didn't they like ease up on their licensing a bit?
I think they did.
think-
I think
yeah.
that they did release a bunch. I know the Library of Congress has released a bunch. I mean, there have been these large swaths that have come as an effort to get people to come back, right? The loss leader.
Yeah.
You get some free, and then, I want this paid one. Well, I guess I got, it's just a perception of value, like a grocery store does with their specials of the week, right?
It could be. I mean, it's going to be
It
interesting.
it just seems as if we're following the same path that we did with content, the written content, and now in terms of art, it's just they're trying to adapt to technology, and it's kind of like it's a slippery slope. It's in a sense we're rolling the rock up the hill, and I'm not sure
Well,
it's
let
really
me-
going to make much of a
I'll
difference in
give
the end.
you. This might be something they're thinking about. They own the data. Instead of selling that data to the AI people why not create their own AI based on their own LLMs? And then, it's this meet the new boss, same as the old boss. They're still out there. You pay a subscription to use their AI to generate images. that are pulled or were, that use their data to get a superior image library to use
That
for it.
This should give them the capital to do that
You
because
would
by
think.
right, by
But then it goes back to our first categories. If you're not in the top 3, get out. So has this become a subsector of the larger AI market, the AI image market, and then they could dominate that AI image market? Or do they, because they don't have a hyperscaler partner, an Amazon or Meta or Apple, are they not able to compete at that hyperscaler?
I mean,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to do some smart partnering, and they're gonna have to do it quickly because Adobe, Canva, there are a lot of very easily
Sure
accessed
are.
tools that are doing this and doing a pretty decent job. But if they do some smart partnering,
I'll
who
tell you
knows?
something. Getty's the kind of marquee brand name that Apple loves.
Yes, that's a great point. Yes,
Mhm.
it's a Tiffany name, a Tiffany
Yeah.
brand name that Apple gravitates towards.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
You heard it here first.
I mean, it is. It does. There's prestige associated with the name for sure. So I do
Mhm.
think there's something to that. I think we might see that in the coming months and years. I mean, it's going to be very interesting. The acquisitions this year, I think, are going to
Oh, it's
be.
gonna be. I think it's gonna go through the roof. I think there's gonna be a rubber stamp at the FTC from now.
Yeah,
The
you're
next
not.
couple
I don't
weeks.
think they're.
It's
It's all.
speaking of land rushes, we're gonna have an M&A land rush.
Yeah, no, it's a good time to be doing M&As. Fire up the engines. All right. Guys, I feel like we've discussed a lot of it, and I feel like we're putting poor Mike here. It's hard to
Oh,
take the mic out of Mike's hands.
I feel Mike's pain. I've been through this.
Yeah, he's
It's
sitting by
it-
stoically. Isn't that a good word to describe him today? Stoic.
Mike is a very stoic guy, though.
Yeah, Mike, I'm sorry. We hope your internet's working better for tomorrow's show. Rumor has it was Mitch who sabotaged
Me
your,
too.
your your internet.
Wow, wow, throw him under the bus. Jesus.
Well, he
God.
left.
Call
Damn.
my neighbor Elon and get his Starlink.
Yeah,
that-
you could do that, Mike. You could do that. Anyway, hey, Anne, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us on your first show of 2025 on the gang. We'll have you back on soon, right? Next week. And
Yes.
John, is always good to see you
Good to
back
see
on
you.
the throne. Mike, well,
Oh, sorry.
speaking figuratively, but Mike, better luck with the internet. Thank you, everyone, for watching today's Techstrong Gang. As usual, we have a full Techstrong TV schedule immediately following, so stay right here on your favorite channel, Techstrong TV. But for now, this is Alan Schimmel. On behalf of Techstrong Gang, we're out.